Matchroom Radio with David Diamante, and we are here in beautiful London, England. It's beautiful today.
Wonderful day.
Beautiful. It's a wonderful day.
Best day so far.
Best day so far, and we got a real Londoner himself, Mark Tibbs, here with us. Thank you so much for joining us. Great to see you, my brother.
Thank you, David. It's been it's an absolute pleasure to sit on the sofa with you and chat to you. We've done it many times, or a couple of times in Leeds.
Yeah.
You took me to that fantastic pub.
Oh, wow, yeah.
We drank some ale and ate great food. Do you remember that?
I really do, yeah. I always have such a great time hanging out with you during fight week.
Thank you.
You're one of those guys that, I don't know, you just, you're a real fighting man, a real boxing man.
Thank you.
And you're always a gentleman, and you always, you take it very serious, which I appreciate, because this is a serious sport.
Of course it is, yeah.
And you understand that maybe more than a lot of people.
I do take my my work serious, and I need to relax a little bit and enjoy it. My wife says.
Hopefully that's what this is.
And it's I take boxing seriously. I mean, I've done it since I was 6 years old, and winning is important to me. And as winning was important to me myself as a young fighter, amateur fighter, professional fighter, and the clients and professional boxers I train. We train to win in the most safest possible fashion whatsoever. Yeah.
The gym, it's called the Peacock, yeah?
Well, I started. I had worked out at the Peacock for many, many years in Canning Town, and many years. I turned professional when I was like 18 years old, and I trained. Where did I train? I trained at the West Ham Boxing Club in Plaistow in E13, and then I was there for some time, and then I moved to the Peacock Gym in Canning Town. It's a real good, close-knit family. I still communicate with them now, and I've trained there. It seems like all my life. It was a real family gym.
I want to talk about the jump from West Ham to Repton or Peacock.
Yeah.
You talk about how when you're at West Ham, which your dad trained there also,
yeah.
And again, we must say for the people out here, the audience, you come from a legendary family, a legendary fighting family out of the East End of London. And but when you first started boxing out of the West Ham, you didn't know how strong you were, and you were just kind of a straight ahead.
Yeah.
But when you got to the other gym, you learned to move and slip and stuff like that. What are some other changes between the gyms that you found?
Well, what I noticed, David, in my early 20s, I started to watch footage of myself as an amateur, because I didn't watch none of it, to tell the truth. I just was on to the next, you know what I mean? And as I watched my style as a West Ham fighter, I was strong and I was upright. I had no head movement. But then my father switched me to Repton Boxing Club, and the day he took me into Repton Boxing Club, I must have been about 15, 16 years of age by then. It might have been 12 actually. And a guy called George Odwell, a coach there, he got my head sitting behind my knee, my front knee, sitting back a little bit. It felt odd at first, but I went with it, and I thought, and basically I learned to box, I learned my craft, I learned not to get hit. Whereas, so I feel that, West Ham was very, very good to me. I won titles there, but I won most of my titles at Repton and learned my craft at Repton. Probably because I was coming into my teens and young 20s, if you know what I mean.
When you find as a trainer, what's the criteria for you to take on a fighter?
Well, I like to feel a connection, a rapport. When you give an instruction, it's interesting to see. Not everyone takes it on board straight away, but if I feel I can work with them, I'm very patient, and I want to bring the best out of them. You know what I mean? Regardless of their where their head is. You know what I mean? We got to have a calm, strong mind when you're in a championship fight. You know what I mean? And so I look for communication and how they adapt to instructions and adapt to pressure. and things like that. Yeah.
How was it for you? You talk about this new style when you were younger, and it was difficult at first. How long did you find that it took before something kind of became second nature?
Well, I never ever noticed it until I was like in my 30s. When I said that, I looked at me footage and I started to look. I went, wow. Now I understand where, and I know where I learned my craft. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Basically, you know, I worked behind the jab, and a small part of me thought perhaps my trainer at Repton, George Odwell, got me to do that because I weren't very powerful. But you know, the art of boxing is to hit and not be hit.
That's right.
And I used to have good success. I had great success as an amateur boxer at Repton Boxing Club. I went to the multi-nations twice. I won a gold and a silver there, and I won, you know, endless titles there. It was really, really. I just felt like it was my schooling. To the truth, it was, yeah.
And not just that, quite a pro career, really quite a pro career. But at a young age, you took a break and you stopped, and then that was it. Can you tell us about that? Why'd you step away?
Do you know something? Actually, David, I thought to myself, I want to take 1 year out. I made up my mind. I never discussed it with anyone around me. I thought I'd take a year out. And
what did you, in your mind?
Yeah.
Like, what did you think you were going to do? Like, how? Like, what was in Mark's mind? Was he like, you know, I'm going to go travel the world, or I'm going to go?
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted a breather. I wanted a breather from the constant pressure of expectations.
Yes. From yourself or from your pops? Both?
Probably everything. Probably everything. I just needed to remember that I was 25 years of age, coming into really like mature. Actually, I was training at the Thompson Beckett in South London actually with a guy called Dean Powell at the time, and that's where I used to prepare for my fights. And although I'm an East Londoner, my East London boys are not going to like me for this, but I had my best pro days training wise at the Thompson Beckett. But that's probably because I was starting to mature. I turned professional when I was 18 years of age, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And looking back, I wasn't strong, you know, bodily strong, but I was skillful.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And getting back to when I took a year out, I just meant to take a year out, and I did go travelling, and no matter where I travelled, I always trained and ticked over. I've been in some lovely gyms, fantastic gyms in Australia, in America, Spain, and but I ticked over all my life. But before I knew where I was, 10 years flew like that.
It happens, folks
10
listening.
years, 10
folks
years,
out there listening.
10 years.
It happens.
Just flew by, man.
Man, it goes quick.
And do you know what happened? I was in the Peacock Gym actually, and I was 35 years old, moving people around, just thinking my youth is never ever going to go anywhere.
Yeah, you think you're going to be young forever.
You think you're young forever.
Invincible.
Yeah, you think you're invincible, think you're young forever. Anyway, I should spar some young up and coming prospects, professionals.
Yeah.
And I was mature, and I thought, yeah, one day I'm going to ring one of the promoters up and come back. I'm 35 years of age.
Yeah. It's
You know what
a
I'm
young
saying?
man's game.
And then I sparred a very good prospect. I schooled him. I let him know who was boss.
Sure.
Then he went to me, let's do that again Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah. And we done it again Wednesday, and he stepped it up. And I felt his youth. You get me? I was about 35, 38.
That's when you knew.
That was like losing somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, for sure.
I don't want to think about it too much because I'm quite an emotional
I don't want you to
person.
start crying. No tears.
But it was like losing someone.
Yeah,
and,
no, I hear you.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah.
It's deep. And I mean, at that moment, like, how did you get into the training part? Because your pops, this is, you know, from what I understand, when he got out, you know, doing his bid, he wanted to get back into the game. The board wouldn't sanction him. Terry Lawless had him, hey, hold these mitts for me for a bit. And the fighters pulled your dad into the game. And they wanted him to be a trainer. That's how he got into it.
Yeah.
But as far as you on the training end, how did you get into it?
Well, how I got into it was, you know, I always gave advice. Why my dad's, as you say, he's been I've looked up to my dad, always loved being in boxing all his life. He was in the scrap business, and then, you know, he come out of jail, and then he got into the boxing business along with Terry Lawless, and and he trained a team of fighters at the Royal Oak in Canning Town, and how I got into it was, how I got into training. Well, I always was there to give a hand to, you know, always made weight as an amateur. I always had to cut weight. So my dad was training fighters, and he always says to all these prospects, all these champions and fighters, go and see Mark, he'll tell you what to do. And so I was in the gym, always hanging about the gym, at the Peacock gym. I always used to go, right, how heavy are you? They go, £7 over. How long you got? Right, this is what I do. Trim your portions, do this, do that. Trim your, it was easy for me. It was so easy.
It was one of those things you knew how to do.
But they'd never give me credit for that, actually. Right. He just kept sending more.
He probably does. Your dad's really proud of you.
Yeah. But anyway, so I used to...
He probably just doesn't tell you.
No, exactly. But I'm just learning about him now, actually, talking to you.
Right.
So actually, that's what I used to do. I used to go, say for instance, whoever the fighters was, I go, come here, this is what I do, bum, 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 bum. Anyway, and then that was it, and he always used to send fighters over to me, this and that, and one day, I guess I was in my mid-30s, late 30s, and Billy Joe Saunders come in and had a meeting with my father with the possibilities of training him, and he ended up training Billy Joe, and when I saw Billy Joe, I knew what he was all about. You know, it was easy for me to smell and see what I was looking at. Yeah. And because although I'm old school, I'm a bit new school than my father. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I said, Dad, I want to help you with his...
Let me take him on.
With his conditioning and with his advice on fueling, etc. That's how I become serious into my boxing training. But getting back to that, David, when I was about 28 years old, you'd have to check with the Board of Control here, but I had a trainer's licence from when I was 28. I got one, and I used to help my father on bits and pieces. But I took it up seriously when my dad was employed by Billy Joe Saunders, and my dad took him from southern area to world champion. Yeah.
And, you know, he always said BJ Saunders is one of those guys, he has the talent, but he's got to live the life. Yeah. Don't do what I did. Yeah. Because your pops had that talent, but he didn't live the life. Yeah. Because like you, he thought he had it forever, he could do whatever. Yeah. And he talks about regretting that. Yes. Because he could have gone even farther than he did.
You're talking about
boxing.
My dad or?
Your dad, yeah.
Yeah. Well, my dad got in a bit of trouble, and that disrupted the whole family and his career, and so he was unfortunate that way. Yeah.
What I mean, look, for the people that don't know out there, and this has all been documented. Yeah. They say East London in the 70s was like Chicago in the 20s, right? And you know, whether you're talking about the Crays or the Nicholsons or you know, the Tibbs family. These are all very famous families in this area, and a lot of things happened. And I know that must have been tough for you coming up because you were very young. I mean, you were 2 years old or something like that when your pops went away.
I was 2. My brother was 4, and
a lot of crazy stuff back then. And it must have been really tough for your mom, Claudette.
You know, I find it hard to talk about, to tell the truth. Yeah.
You don't have to talk about it. It's okay, but it just, you know, it's part of, I guess, the history that's there. And
see what it is, David. See, my dad and all that family, just normal people. Yeah. Normal people. But my understanding of it, I've never speak to my dad about what went on, to tell the truth. He never tells me. We've spoken about it, bits and pieces, but. You know, my dad was and his dad were just they was in the scrap business. Yeah. And they wouldn't be pushed around basically. That's right. And that was all it was. My dad was my grandfather got 15 years for nothing, and you know because what I understand was because of what was going on in the East End. Like you said, it was like the Chicago. I think they dramatised it and made a stand. Like, I don't know why they did what they did, the authorities, but you know, it was probably getting out of hand.
Yeah.
But as I am aware, and I know all these families and their sons now, and you know, and talking of my own family, you know, we are just normal people, but you know, we just good people that stand up for ourselves, and that was all it was. But as I say, my grandfather got 15 years for nothing. You know what I mean? And yeah.
I think for some people they glamorize some of this stuff, but for you, this is your life.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that.
Yeah.
This is your life. This is your family.
Well, school was pretty difficult for me and my brother. You know, we never moaned or groaned, but you know, I could talk about things, but we just have to get on with it. We got on with stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's difficult. It's difficult, Dave, for me to talk about it and go back there.
But there's a lot of great stuff that happened back then too, like your pops sparring with Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
And knocking him down.
Yeah.
Whether it was, you know, Ali, you know, because your dad, he's first of all, your dad's I'm a huge fan of your pops.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of your dad, and he's very humble. Your dad's a humble man.
He is, yeah.
You know, and so he claims that, you know, I didn't really even hit him. So maybe he didn't. I don't know. I wasn't there, right? This is before my time. But Ali went down regardless, and there's a picture of it. This is when Ali was over to fight Henry Cooper.
Yeah.
And your dad fought on the undercard of that fight.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah. And that picture, there's a great picture of your pop standing over Ali.
Yeah.
And that, from what I understand, it made the New York Times sports page, but that was the very first time a British fighter had ever made the New York Times sports page like that.
No, he's good. He's very proud of that. I think he says it, Mark. He says he was working in the yard at the time for his dad in the scrapyard. He gets a phone call from must have been Terry Lawless. Get over to Whyte City.
That's it, yeah.
You're moving around with.
We're gonna have a spar,
with Ali. He says when I got in there, he'd tell you himself, but it's funny when he tells you. But he said I shaked up. He said I only threw a jab. Next thing he's on the floor, but you know, it was all publicity. Yeah.
Again, your pops is very humble. Maybe he did hit him. Maybe he did. Who knows?
Nah.
But. But either way, it's got to be a great moment. It's something you got to be really proud of.
Very proud.
You know, you got to take the bitter with the sweet. So you know, the tough times and good times also.
Yeah.
You know, and you and your dad. I mean, you know, I have stuff with my dad, but you know, I know you guys have not always seen eye to eye on things. However, when you guys are in the corner together, when he was in your corner, you did.
Yes. No, we used to clash like any father and son. But when we're working together, we're like telepathic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bang. We very rarely don't get the job done, but we get work done. We understand boxing, you know, and my dad is a very, very intuitive around boxing and boxers and around human beings, because I guess of his life, you know what I mean, and the people he's been around. Yeah.
Now, so let's talk about, and you know, you talk about standing up for yourself. I mean, there's a great moment that I'm sure it's not, well, when I say great moment, it was not a great moment, it was a low moment, but the press conference of Dillian, Whyte, Derek Chisora. Yeah. And you were on the dais, you were at the top table. There was, I think, Adam Smith, Eddie Hearn, Callie Sauerland, and Derek Chisora.
And Dillian.
And Dillian Whyte. On your right was Dillian, on your right but stage left was Dillian, and the table came. Yeah. But if you watch that video, it's funny. You know, this was about 6 years ago, something like that.
It feels a lifetime away, but it wasn't too long ago.
About 6 years.
Do you know what? David, sort of cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, there are moments when I think to myself, why did I do what I did? But what it was the actual act. I wasn't aware. And I was a little pumped for this fight because quite.
Yeah, really this was it was a great fight, and the second one also.
It was a good fight, and I was hearing a lot of bad beef between Dillian and Derek. Yeah. And then the table come over, and yollering and hooting, and obviously me giving it back to Derek because I felt defensive of Dillian.
Of course.
But I was concerned for Adam because that table come over. And,
Oh yeah,
and
I
we
think
all-
Adam was also concerned for Adam.
And Eddie guided it with his long levers.
Well, Eddie tried to stop it.
Yeah.
Callie looked like he was worried about it. Callie was like,
Do you know what? I had a lot of money. I was more worried about the ticket money. I had a bag of ticket money. I've never sold so many tickets in my life. Yeah, I didn't want to lose that. I swear, I didn't need to be owing that. If you get me.
But you know what? Look, listen. I don't have to tell you. You're a pro fighter and you come from a fighting family. When you get hit, you want to give it back, and you want to give it back twice as good.
Well,
and,
listen.
And whether that's in the ring or the street, it's what it is.
Yeah.
But you're a fighter. You're a fighter.
Yeah.
And you know your reaction was to react, and you were pretty much the only one that reacted in an aggressive way back. Dillian just sat there. He was super calm.
He was super
He
cool.
didn't even move.
He was.
He didn't even move.
But let me tell you something about this. That all kicked off and it went ballistic. I think the show did well over that, and that was real.
It was a great fight too.
Anyway, it was a great fight, a real touch and go fight. But 3 weeks later, I got an invitation to the West Ham ground, the new West Ham ground, to watch the Stones, Rolling Stones, who I'm a big fan of, you know.
Yeah.
And anyway, so we're lining up. My friend's lining up to get his ticket that we was given, and we was invited there. Anyway, cut a long story short, I've looked. I'm all excited. I've had a couple of beers, getting ready for the. Heard Mick Jagger or whoever it is on the guitar warming up, yeah.
That'd be Keith, but yeah. Right.
Right. You know, heard they get going. And all of a sudden, I looked round. Derek Chisora's running at me. He's running at me. That's he's running at me. But all of a sudden, I went, Derek. He high-fived me, and we was good as gold. You know what I mean?
This is boxing,
but
right?
I thought he was going to kill me.
This is boxing, right?
Yeah, but he was lovely. And to be honest with you, I've took my whole team of fighters a few months ago. To Derek's gym where he trains, and we've got sparring over there for Johnny Fisher actually. Johnny Fisher, he sparred with Derek.
How did he fare?
Yeah, he done well. It was a couple of fights ago now. We've done some sparring over there. We went back there twice. Shit.
Let's talk about Johnny for a second. Let's talk about your stable, but we'll be doing Johnny because that's why you're here this week.
Yeah.
So we have a world title triple header, co-main event, Johnny Fisher, the Romford Bull.
Yeah.
Lovely guy. We all know he doesn't have a big amateur background, but he's very exciting. And how's he progressing? How did the spar go with Derek? And tell us about
since the spar with Derek, he's been in with numerous guys that have been very good for him, sparring wise, and I feel he's measured. He's going to be calculated, calm. He understands that. We can't just rush in with our face.
Sure.
We ain't going to go far.
Yeah.
We want to win titles. We want to get ready for titles, title contention. So he's got a southpaw on Saturday night, and it's given him something to think about. There's an approach to how you fight a southpaw. To boxing people, it's not hard, but he's thought about it. He's worked on it, and he's going to look good Saturday night.
So I was going to ask you about that because Emilio Salas is a southpaw, Puerto Rican fighter. Is that why you chose him?
Well, it was a team collaboration while we're fighting this guy Emilio Salas, and he's been around the gyms. You can tell he knows how to carry himself in the gym. He knows how to in the ring. He knows how to.
He knows how to move. He knows his way around the ring.
He knows his way around the ring.
And he's trains with Marco. He's a great trainer.
Yeah.
Great trainer from the Bronx. I've known Marco for long time. Great guy. He used to have a great stable. He's had some of the best fighters coming out of New York.
No, you can tell when someone's lived it. You know what I mean? So we've done our own work. We're ready now. Johnny's ready, and it's going to be a good fight.
I'm really looking forward to seeing him in action, and he's got such a great fan base. It's unbelievable.
Yes.
And his pops has become quite famous in his own right.
Quite famous. He's more famous than Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, and I got to say, there's something about watching Big John order Chinese food. I love it. It warms my heart, man. If I'm having a bad day, I can.
Well, every time I watch him talk about Chinese, I want to ring out one for myself.
I tell you, it makes me hungry, man. I love it. So also, John Hedges, John J. Hedges.
John Hedges, after his last fight, was at, I believe it was at the O2 on the Anthony Joshua card.
Yeah.
He had a bit of a problem with his hand.
Yeah.
He's gone to see a guy in Manchester who a few of my fighters go and see, and he does a great job. fixed his hand for him, and John Hedges is going to be a great boxer, you know, really, really super talented, naturally. Do you know what I mean? As long as he lives the life.
Got to live the life.
Got to live
He's
the
young.
life.
He's young.
He's young. He's pretty.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you know what I'm saying, so he's got to live the life.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
if he lives the life, he's got a big chance of going a very, very long way. John Hedges. Always put him, you know, the likes of Tyson Fury. I think he was better than Tyson Fury
At that age.
when he was
yeah.
his age.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He's got the reach.
It's all there.
got the
The
reach.
instinctive boxability, the cuteness. He knows how to not get hit.
Yeah,
And he's got to get a little bit more offensive, and he will do, and he is.
yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of long reach and tall guys, because John Hedges is tall, you got a really tall fighter fighting tonight, cruiserweight, right?
I have Tommy Fletcher. He's fighting tonight at York Hall. I think
Yeah.
is his 5th or 6th professional fight, 6-rounder. Massive puncher with both hands, either hand.
Yeah.
He's like that. He's just on the border of 14-4, which is cruiserweight.
Yeah.
He's only 21 years of age. So when he thickens out, and he is starting to thicken out, massive puncher. Done some real damage in our gym and
Yeah.
around the gyms. Not on purpose.
Yeah.
Sparring.
Sure.
Yeah. Good fighter. Another one, as long as he lives the life, he's got a very bright future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see more stuff from him in the
Yeah.
future. Now, also something that I don't want to, you know, but Ebanie Bridges.
Yeah.
I've heard some rumors. Are you guys?
Well, do you know what? Ebanie Bridges had a great journey with Ebanie Bridges. You know, I think I'm pretty sure we had a meeting in a cafe in Brentwood. No, Billericay. She lives in Brentwood.
Yeah.
Billericay. It's called Queenie's, ironically.
Yeah.
Queen of Australia.
Yeah.
And we had a meeting, and we had a discussion, and she's in love with the North. Even when she moved to Brentwood, she spoke very fondly of Leeds.
Yeah, that's her.
And
her
the North.
her
She loves
adopted
it.
home. Yeah. She got the tattoo even.
So I think we had a great journey. As in, I'm not saying it's over. I think we're going to speak today. I think, but you know, I'm not silly, and you know, she's got a life. She's a young lady, and I'm very glad that we won the world title together.
Yes.
Yeah, and we've done it in good fashion, I
Yep.
believe.
Yeah.
And we defended it in brilliant fashion
Yeah.
against Shannon O'Connell.
Yeah, that was
O'Connell.
quite a night. I won't forget that night.
A lot of that.
There was a lot of
Oh, mate, yeah.
a lot of spit going back and forth.
So
a lot of poison.
I think because after her last fight with Shannon, she obviously had a hand operation as well with Mike Hayter, and she done some travelling again. She went to America back to see Brian and Kaylee,
Yeah.
who were very good for Ebanie. And she spent a week or so over there with her, and then obviously we've had a meet, and I think she's going to move to north of England. So
She really likes
yeah,
it
I'm
there.
very quite disappointed. Not disappointed. I'm very Ebanie's always welcome in my gym, in my house.
Yeah.
Lovely girl.
Sure.
Lovely lady. Hard girl. Good fighter. Good strong fighter, and I love working with her because of that.
She's got the heart. Yeah.
Heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'm not too sure.
You can't train the heart. That's either there or it's not.
There. Listen.
The heart's there, it's not.
She like all champions. Yeah, all champions. They've got it. What is it? We don't know. They've got it.
But it's it.
It's it. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of another champion that you just spoke of, Kaylee Reese and Brian, obviously Kaylee is doing this great stuff with the TV and movies.
Yeah.
But you had a stint in that also with Ron Peck films, and tell us about that, Fighters and other films that you were in.
Well, do you know what? It was all a bit by accident, really. I had when I was fighting, I used to go to a steam bath, along with our other fighters. I can't think of them off my brain, but you know, some good fighters I used to train with as a professional and that. And some fella come up to us and asked us if we wanted to be in films. He was only young.
That's a little strange in a steam bath. Another guy coming up to you asking if you want to be in a film.
When I was saying that, I thought, oh damn, I said the wrong thing here. But anyway, cut long story short, it wasn't Ron Peck. He was an associate of Ron Peck. But Ron Peck sadly died recently. I don't want to talk about that either because I get emotional.
Yeah.
Lovely guy, beautiful spirit, lovely person.
Yeah.
Lovely person. And mate, he wasn't an East Ender, but he moved to Bethnal Green, on the Bethnal Green Road. And he loved East Enders.
Yeah.
And he had a wide range of friends from all sorts of lovely guy. I walked past his house, his flat the other day in Bethnal Green.
Yeah.
I went up to the bagel shop, to get a salt beef bagel with mustard.
Oh, which one you go with, on the right or the left?
On the right.
That's my spot, bro. That's my spot. Yeah, the right. I go on the right. Yeah.
So anyway, as I was walking back,
I love a salt beef.
I was walking back with some young guys. After what was I doing up there? I was at I might have been at York Hall again, boxing.
Yeah.
But we grabbed a bicycle, and on the way back, I looked up at Ron's flat, because he's only died like months ago.
Yeah.
I looked up the flat that I've been going to for 30 years, that we went there to talk about films, and he was a film fanatic. He was a film director.
Sure.
And he was a friend of ours, as in our family, my parents, my friends, my boxer friends' families.
Yeah.
And anyway, when I walked past his flat and I saw a party going, and they're all young guys, I was choked and gutted. But I couldn't talk to about it, because the people that I was with wouldn't have understood it.
They wouldn't have understood.
But Ron was a nice guy. We'd done a couple of films with him, documentaries and that, but he made a good film called Fighters. Could never watch it up until I was mid-30s.
Yeah.
Because I don't like hearing my own voice or watching myself. But lovely guy, Ron Peck. But Fighters.
You must have been made up about that.
Yeah,
at the time.
Oh, at the time it was great, mate. Because it was great, David. Because my dad ended up. Will had a good part in it. We've done another thing called Real Money.
Yeah, the gangster.
Real Money,
little
but
gangster
I can't watch that either.
Right.
But but it was all fun and it was all good. But when I look back now, that was the first fly on the wall stuff. Although it was drama.
Yeah, right. But back in the day, it really was cutting edge.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was cutting edge kind of stuff.
It got good reviews. The film Fighters did, and Real Money's always lovely to watch. All our elders love to watch that, because they like to hear the Cockney accent, which is quite rare.
Apples and pears.
So yeah, well, we I've never taught Cockney rhyming slang, never.
Speaking of back in the day, though, I mean, and just to go back to your pops for a second, I mean, you must have growing up, I mean, being around Nigel Benn.
Yeah.
Being around Frank Bruno,
absolutely.
Being around Nas, being around. I mean, your dad was with the Dark Destroyer for 7 fights.
Yeah.
Undefeated in all of them.
Yeah.
Defended his world title.
Yeah.
All those times. I mean, he did just some great time. Lloyd Huntington. Great fighters. Well, I mean, what are some of those memories? What must that have been like?
Well, listen. Like, they come to my house when I was a young teenager. They slept. I went to I went to Frank Bruno. I was around Frank Bruno and Lloyd Hannigan. I was in the Royal Oak very, 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 very often. And it used to be, that gym was like, it was a real small gym at first, but it was 90 degrees. It was like a fight factory. Yeah. And it was churning out champions and champions upon champions. But Jimmy McDonald, at the end, it's endless. My dad trained Barry McGuigan.
Absolutely.
He trained loads.
Chris
Pyatt, man. Chris Pyatt, world champion. Trained lots of world champions and good fighters. And
I mean, the list is a who's who. It's a who's who. I mean, even, I don't know, I'm sure you know the story, but your dad talks about, there's a great story where he says he went up and Nas asked him to hold the pads. You know the story?
At the Peacock, yeah.
Yeah, and so like Nas is going and he's hitting the pads, and your pops is like, damn. Like, he keeps going. But your dad didn't want to quit.
Didn't want to quit.
So he keeps going. So he's like wondering, how long can this guy go? He's like, surely he can't keep going. Complete 12 rounds, keeps going. And your dad's just dying, but he's knocking. Your dad won't say anything. Finally, after round 13, Nas is like, my God, like, wow, and your dad was like, thank the Lord.
I remember Nas coming into the gym, and he looked me up and down like that. He looked me up and down that. He went, where's Dad? I went, he's down there. And then I didn't watch him do the pads, but I heard about it. I've just done 30 rounds with him.
It's a great story.
You can imagine what we said. I've just done 30 rounds with that. Bum, 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 bum.
Over the years, in the East End especially, how have things changed? What's it like? I mean, tonight you'll be there. You're in Bethnal Green. You recall the legendary spot. For me, one of the best places in the world to watch a fight. The memories that place must hold for you. And but just the whole change of it, what's it like for you now?
Yeah, well, listen, look,
What are the kind of changes?
the changes, you know, it ain't just the East End. You know, we have to evolve and move on. Everyone evolves and moves on. People change. People get wired differently.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's a generational thing, I guess. You know what I mean? But it's lovely to go back to Bethnal Green and to all them areas. And I actually grew up in Canning Town in East Ham.
Yeah.
And they've changed tremendously. I mean, talking about Ebanie Bridges, when she first come to here in the UK and set up in Brentwood, I had to drop her back from our gym, from the Origin gym in Raynham one day, and she went, "Oh, I'm staying at the Victoria Dock because I thought that's where you trained at the Peacock."
Yeah.
I said, "Oh," yeah. So I ended up driving her back to Canning Town, and I had been there for like 2 or 3 years, which ain't long really, because I moved out to Essex myself. But when I drove her back there, I thought I was in a whole new world.
Yeah.
Different flats. She was in I dropped her back to the Victoria Dock in the Crown Plaza, and
It just all looked different.
totally different. But listen, you have to evolve and you have to move on, don't you?
Yeah.
Things are going to change.
Yeah.
What do you think about New York? Tell me about New York. Has New York changed?
Yeah,
There you go.
New York is like a an ever changing, breathing organism.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really is. It
know-
always changes, and sometimes you go down a block and you're like, "What? That wasn't."
Yeah.
They'll put stuff up like overnight.
Yeah. I've never ever been to New York. I long to go there.
Oh, you got to come.
Yeah,
man.
never been.
I'm surprised by that, but you got to
Yeah.
come. There's a great Chrissy Hynde song from the Pretenders. My City Was Gone.
Oh, mate, Chrissy Hynde. Let me tell you something about Chrissy Hynde.
Yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Carry on.
Yeah, no, you know, I went back to Ohio and my city was gone. I mean, like things change.
Yeah.
You know, she's talking
Tell me
about
that song. What's it called?
My City Was Gone.
I love Chrissy Hynde. Chrissy
Yeah.
Hynde come to us in the late '80s, and she worked with us at York Hall. Funny enough.
Yeah.
She made a record, a song called "Give Me Sense of Purpose." Gary Stretch was a fighter at the time.
Yeah.
Southpaw, tall,
Yeah.
rangy, super middleweight. Ended up fighting Chris Eubank, I believe, senior.
Yeah.
My dad trained Gary, and they ended up collaborating and doing a song. And me, my dad, and Gary was in the music video.
How cool is that?
And she was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
She loved boxing. She loved the York Hall and all of that. The bagel shop.
Well, she had the bagel shop is it, man. I love that spot. She has a lot of history here in England, along with the Sex Pistols and that whole history. But quite an amazing musician.
She come to the fight actually. She was with a guitarist that have a big band. She was married to him, Jim Kerr. His name was. I don't know if you remember him, Jim Kerr. Forget the name of the band now. Really, not U2, but something like that. Anyway, Chris Hynde was lovely. She was lovely, yeah.
I like that how music and boxing. You talk about the Stones, street fighting man.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
there's always crossovers.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and that's cool. Bring that up, talking about the town
Absolutely.
changing, but you did something with her.
Yeah.
And talking about Canning Town, it makes me think about Charlie Duffield. How's he doing?
Charlie Duffield. He's a lovely guy.
He
Charlie.
really is.
He's lovely.
He had a kid,
He's got about 3 or 4 kids
but I mean,
now.
he had another one recently. I
Yeah,
think.
he did. And do you know what, David? Only recently, he lost his mum.
Oh,
like
terribly
talking
sorry to hear
weeks
that.
ago. Yeah, shame. He lost his mum, but his little brother, who's not really little, but he's a little bit disabled, but found his mum dead. So it's heartbreaking. But Charlie's good. He'd love it. You asked about him.
Yeah,
love
I'm
it.
such a fan of him, man.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Charlie if you're watching,
Lovely.
if you're listening.
He
We
will.
miss you, brother. Hope you're well, and really sorry to hear about your loss, brother. Do you keep in touch with old fight like Dillian? You ever talk to Dillian?
Do you know what? I've seen Dillian. I've seen him at this hotel not too long ago. I bumped into him, I think, a couple of times. But no, we don't have any communication. But you know, he's a nice. You know, I had my best times with Dillian Whyte.
Sure.
Proper proper warrior, man.
Yeah, he's a tough dude.
Love going to war with Dillian Whyte.
Yeah, he's a tough guy.
And he's a lovely, lovely person. And we had some good times. I had 11 unbeaten wins with him. We got to pay-per-view, world #1, and COVID come and shook things up a little bit. But Dillian Whyte, I've got a lot of fond memories with him. One of my best memories in my boxing career. I've got to say, his team were good. We was in Saudi together. Do you remember?
I do.
Saudi, and you was there yourself.
I do.
And that was my last fight with him. But yeah, we if I saw Dillian now, he's of course I've bumped into him from time to time and whatnot.
Yeah.
Saw Michael Magic Hands. He's a good team member. You know Magic.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. See him today.
That's great. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit and talk with us. We do have some fan questions. Are you going to answer a couple of those?
I've got fans. I ain't got fans, have I?
Yep, we've got fan questions. Give me a second because I got to read these and see. Let's see here.
I'm sorry I got a bit emotional talking about. I don't know why I can't talk about certain things.
Family, man, and things of the past can be tough. Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. Gary Leahy asks, do you ever keep in touch with Dillian? I saw you put up an old picture on social recently of you both. I guess you answered that.
But I like to go through some old stuff and old photos and that. I go through it from time to time. Yeah, I think I might have tweeted him from time to time.
Yeah. That's great.
Dillian's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
All right. Ronnie O'Shea asks, is Tibbs' gym at capacity? Do you have time for more fighters to join the stable, or do you take it on a case-by-case basis?
Depends who they are and what they bring to the table.
Okay.
No. What I'm saying is, I'm full at the minute, but always open to good prospects or fighters. You know?
Is there something in a fighter? I mean, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but fighters are all different.
Yeah.
Obviously, styles, mentalities, but is there something that makes you say, when you take on certain fighters, is there a certain trait that you like and you think, I could really work with this person? Or sometimes you see a good fighter, but you're like, we're just not a good.
Yeah, I can't work with anyone, I've got to see purpose and potential.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have to see purpose and potential.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't, it's my business.
Yeah.
I'm in the boxing business. I'm a trainer, professional trainer. So yeah, I have to see an end goal sort of thing, or
And how many fighters do you feel is about the number that you want to kind of be at?
Well, do you know what? It's really easy work. I don't mean easy work, but I've done it for such a long time now. You get to know who's priority.
Yeah.
At a certain time.
Yeah.
Date pending, whatever dates are. You know what I mean? The dates.
Yeah.
And you can't overstretch yourself.
Sure.
You can't overstretch yourself because you're going to water down your qualities.
That's right.
And people ain't going to get the best of you, and you ain't going to get the best out of them.
Sure.
So yeah, I know my limits, but I've got a good prospect now. Actually, he's a middleweight. His name's Joel Bartel. I had him. I used him for sparring when he was 14 years old. So fit, but I couldn't use him for that long because he wasn't a man. But he's come back to me now. He's 21 years of age. Punch with both hands. Box fighter. Really a quiet person, but absolutely comes alive when he fights.
Yeah.
Body puncher.
Wow.
Chin. I just hope one of the big promoters sign him up soon. You know what I mean? He's very, very, very good.
We'll keep our eyes out for him.
Joel Bartel, middleweight.
All right, final question here is from Joby_14_14. He asks, you seem a boxing nut, but what do you do away from boxing to unwind? I know you have a family for starters.
I've got a young son, Mark Abraham Tibbs, and he's 8 years old. And I never had him till I was 46 years of age. Me and my wife's 2 years younger than me, so we had him very, very late as boxing took up my life. And so, so my son keeps me active. He's the best thing that's ever happened to me. I want to cry when I think about it.
That's lovely.
He's the best thing that ever happened to me.
That's great, man. That's great. Mark, thank you so much, brother.
Cheers, David.
Yeah, it's always such a pleasure. And everybody, tune in this weekend, live on DAZN, world title triple header, the Romford Bull also.
Yeah.
But Sonny Edwards defends his IBF Flyweight Championship of the world. And that's a wrap for Matchroom
Lovely.
Radio with David Diamante.
Thanks very much, David.
Thank you, Mark.
Sorry, man, I get emotional.
That's all right, brother.